Hi Hannah, thank you so much for coming through to me for a video. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you letting me connect to your loved one. So, the person I've connected to for you that I feel the most strongest around you is your mum. I know you didn't send me a photo of her, but I can see her already how she was in the living world, and I can see she was very beautiful, and she was also very young when she passed. I'm seeing brown hair. I'm seeing she was slim. She was very petite, and she was young when she passed. So I'm feeling like early 20s, mid 20s was when she passed. Now this shows me that you were only a very small child when she passed because you're around her age now, actually. Um, Hannah, what I'm feeling from your mum is I'm feeling a lot of sorrow coming from her. Her energy is very sad. There's a lot of sorrow there. And she is telling me that she passed in a very traumatic way. And I know you didn't tell me how she passed. Um, and I really hope I don't hurt you even by bringing up how she passed if you didn't want me to go into that. But I also figured if you got a medium reading, you'd be open to, me bringing you forward whatever I can see. So, and I don't often see cases like this, but this one I can see. And I can see that sadly it looks like your mother lost her life. Um, Someone took her life from her. I can see very strongly that someone took her life from her, and I can really feel that, and I can really feel a lot of sadness there. Yeah, sorry to know that, Hannah. I can see that you're very young when this happened. I'm thinking you were like 4, 5, maybe even 6. And I know one day your mum was there, and then the next day she wasn't there, and you didn't know where she'd went, and you were told that she died. Someone told you that she had died. No one told you how she died because you were too young, and it's only something you learned as you grew up. And once you got to around age 10 or 11, someone told you that her life was taken from her, and unfortunately this is something that I still feel like you're a little bit too young to know because you really struggled with knowing that, and it really affected your early teen years, Hannah. And just knowing how your mum passed was very, very difficult for you and caused you a lot of hurt and depression. Um, so, your mum is with me, Hannah, this beautiful young woman who never got a chance to, grow older. I can really see that she loved being your mum. She's telling me that from the time she found out she was pregnant with you, she was only young. She was only like in her teens, very early teens. She's saying she found out she was pregnant with you and she was very scared because she was so young and she didn't have any support around her. But as soon as she felt you inside her, moving around, she fell in love with you. The moment she held you in her arms, she looked down and she loved you, and she knew that she'd found her calling in her life, being your mum. And I can also see you have another one or two. I see you have two siblings, Hannah. I see you have two siblings, and I can see mum was also very proud when she had those children as well. And she had all her children by the time she was age 24. So she was a very busy woman. Unfortunately, though, she's telling me that your father, she had a very toxic relationship with your father. I'm feeling there was a lot of anger between them. Your father had some sort of addiction issues, and it was very hard on your mum, especially being so young. And she did try and get away, and she kept coming back, and she kept running, and he kept being sweet with her, and bringing her back and promising things would change. And unfortunately, they never did. And Hannah, I can see that your mum really tried to do her best to protect you, and I really, really feel like, you and your siblings were her world, and she did absolutely everything for you, but she just couldn't bring herself to get away from your father and that painful childhood that was happening because she was so controlled by him. Your father was very controlling, unfortunately, I can see. And Hannah, your mum is telling me that she finally she finally did get away. So she's saying, I finally did get away. I packed up the kids. I went, she went somewhere safe. I feel like it was her parents' house. It was her parents' house. She went to her parents' house with new kids and she thought she was safe and she tried to rebuild her life. Your father kept trying and trying, and your mum kept turning her back and saying, no, I've had enough. That's it now. I need to look after my kids and get on with my life. Unfortunately, he couldn't accept that, and unfortunately, as you know, he's a big part in your mother's passing. I don't want to get onto it in video because I don't want to talk about how she passed. I feel like it was very traumatic, and it's not something that I feel like she wants me to talk about with you. So I know you already know the details, but she doesn't want me to really just make it a focus in your video because you've been through enough, and now's the time she wants you to, she wants you to move on with your life, and she knows you've really struggled too. So she's just saying, it was out of my passing, it was out of my control how I passed. But I want you to know that I'm okay where I am. I'm at peace. Everything's fine. What happened, and she's accepted that. So your mum has accepted that. I know she struggled a lot when she first crossed over how she did pass, and being away from her kids was very difficult for her. So there's a lot of sadness there, but she's come to terms with that. She's okay now. And now she just wants to watch from heaven. She just wants to watch you three children go about your lives and live your lives. And Hannah, your mum's saying she's very proud of you. She's very, very proud of you because she knows that you went into a relationship last year or the year before. She's saying, I think it was the year before last, you went into a relationship and it looked quite toxic. A little bit how her relationship with your father was. And she's saying that as soon as you saw how toxic this guy was, you got out of that relationship. And she's so proud of you. She's so proud of you for not going down the same path she did. And she really knows that you're a smart young woman, and she knows that you have your whole life ahead of you, and you're always going to make her very, very proud. And also your siblings as well. I feel like your mum's very proud of you all, and she just wants you to remember her. Even though you can't remember much of her, she knows you remember your early childhood. She knows you remember playing with her and cuddling her. She remembers singing to you. I remember she likes to sing to you. She used to love to read to you as well. She's saying that she used to love to cook for you. She really just loved being your mum, and even though you only had a few precious years together, she absolutely loved just being your mum, and that was her true calling in life. And she's so sorry that she's not there now with you, and she's not there going with birthdays and Christmases for you. So yeah, I really feel your mum loves you so, so very much, and she's so, so sorry to leave you. She doesn't want you to think about how she passed. She knows that you've really struggled with that. And she just wants you to focus on those memories you do remember of her, and look at her photos also. She knows you look at her photos, but she wants you to also go back through her old photos of when she was a child and a teen, and she wants you to look at those. She really feels like you'll get a real sense of peace if you go back through them. And yeah, she wants you to look at her old photos for some reason. There's a message in there. So yeah, when you find that message, let me know. I'm very curious. She's not telling me what it is. She's just saying, tell Hannah to go through the photos. There's a message there for her. So yeah, send me a message. Send me an email and let me know what that message is when you see it. But yeah, thank you so much, Hannah, for letting me do a reading for you. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you letting me connect to your beautiful mum. I can also see your grandmother's now in the spirit world as well. She passed only recently. I'm seeing she passed in the last 18 months. So that's been very hard for you as well. But I can also see you are at peace with your grandmother's passing, because she passed at quite an old age and she'd been quite sick. So she's at peace. She's with her daughter now, so they're both there in heaven. They're both watching over you. One day, Hannah, you'll see them again, but you still have so many chapters ahead in your own life. So you live your life and do your mum proud, and she's always going to be by your side. Thanks, Hannah. Take care. Bye.